Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Cosmic Lullaby. Tonight we hold a strange little paradox in our open hands, a world named for the goddess of love, wrapped in cloud the color of a candle flame, and called, by every sober scientist who has ever measured it, the most hostile surface in the solar system. And yet here, tonight, in this hour set aside only for your rest, that same world becomes something you can simply drift past, the way starlight drifts past a window it will never touch. Terrifying, they say. Tonight it is only distant and only beautiful, because you are not there, you are only listening, safe under whatever blanket has found you. We have 4 unhurried regions to drift through tonight. First, we will approach Venus out of the dark, sliding beneath her pale veil of cloud, the way a hand slides beneath a fold of warm fabric, feeling for what waits underneath. Then we will enter the sealed greenhouse itself, that long-imagined pane of glass and gas that has held the planet's warmth, folded over and over on itself, for something like 1,000,000 years, a warmth so patient it has forgotten there was ever a sky above it to escape into. After that, we will rest, briefly, on the surface beneath, a floor of old stone holding heat the way a stove holds the memory of dinner long after the flame has gone out. And last, we will remember how we came to know her at all, the faint signals and patient landers that let curious minds on a cooler, farther world finally understand what they were looking at. You can let all 4 of these go completely, every fact and figure of them, because I will carry them for you, the whole night held loosely in my voice, so that yours can rest. If this kind of night helps you find sleep, a like or a subscribe helps the channel reach others who are also lying awake somewhere, waiting for a voice to lower the lights inside their own thoughts. There is nothing here tonight that needs holding on to. Let your shoulders ease down into whatever is beneath them. Let your jaw loosen, your hands go heavy and open, your breathing find its own unhurried rhythm without any help from you. Settle in. Let's begin. Let your eyes close now, and let your breathing find its own unhurried rhythm, because tonight we are going to travel towards something that wears a frightening name and carries, underneath it, nothing but a strange and ancient peace. Somewhere behind your closed lids, imagine the sky just after sunset, that deep bruised blue before true dark, and low above the horizon, one point of light so steady and so bright that it does not flicker the way the stars do. That is where we begin. Not with fear, not with distance closing in too fast, just with a single light hanging patiently above a line of dark hills, waiting for you the way it has waited for every person who has ever looked west at dusk and wondered what that brilliance could be. For as long as there have been eyes lifted to evening skies, this light has had 2 names, 2 faces, though it is only ever one small world. In the morning it rises ahead of the sun, a pale herald hanging in the brightening east, and people once called it by names that meant bringer of light, forerunner of dawn. In the evening it returns behind the sun's setting, a lantern left burning over the horizon long after the day has gone home. Morning star, evening star, the same wandering point, simply caught at different hours in its long, patient orbit around our own sun, an orbit that carries it always a little closer to that fire than we ourselves dare to drift. It is the 3rd brightest thing in our entire sky, after the sun and the moon, brighter than any star, and it earns that brightness not by being large, though it is nearly as large as home, but by being close and pale and endlessly, perfectly reflective, like a held breath of light with nowhere else to go. Long before anyone understood what it was, that steady point had already earned itself a place in the oldest records people kept of the sky. Priests and farmers and travelers in valleys on opposite sides of the world, never once in contact with one another, all noticed the same pale light returning to the same hours, and all of them, independently, decided it mattered enough to name. Some names spoke of beauty. Some spoke of a guide for ships still finding their way home before true dark fell. The particular meaning changed from one language to the next, but the noticing never did. Every culture that ever watched a clear evening sky eventually found this light and gave it a kind of trust, a promise that it would be there again tomorrow, faithful in a way the shifting stars behind it were not. Let that thought settle in you for a moment, nearly as large as home. This is our twin, or near enough. Take the earth beneath you now, the size of it, the heft of it, the way it rounds itself out of rock and iron, and shrink it only slightly, barely at all, and you have this other world. Almost the same width across, smaller by less than the length of a country. Almost the same mass, the same pull of gravity that would let you stand. If you ever could stand there, with your own weight settling into your own 2 feet, in something close to the way it settles here, your body barely noticing the difference. 2 sister planets, born from the same swirling disk of dust around the same young sun, cooling from the same fire, gathering themselves from the same scattered stone, the same iron sinking slowly toward the same kind of core. For a long while, in the earliest chapters of the solar system, before either world had finished becoming what it would become, they might have looked, from a great distance, almost interchangeable. Twins, cradled side by side in that first warmth, given nearly identical beginnings, nearly identical promise. But even twins, sent down different paths early enough, end up living entirely different lives. And this twin drifted a little nearer to the sun than we did, not dramatically nearer, only some 25 million miles closer along the long curve of its year, and that small difference in distance was enough, over unimaginable stretches of time, to set the two of it and us on separate roads that would never again run parallel. While our world kept its oceans open to the sky, kept its air thin enough to breathe, kept its clouds soft and passing and full of rain that reaches the ground, this nearer twin sealed itself. Sealed itself the way a greenhouse is sealed, glass panes shut every season against the cold, meant only to hold a little extra warmth for the plants inside a little longer than the open air would allow. Imagine such a greenhouse, small and useful, glass walls closing in warmth for the growing season, and then imagine no one ever opening the door again. Not this season, not the next, not for 100 years, 1,000, 1,000,000, the door simply forgotten, the warmth inside folding over itself again and again, thickening, deepening, gathering weight upon weight of its own trapped heat, until what waits inside no longer remembers in any way that matters that there was ever a sky above the glass at all. That is the shape of the world we are moving toward tonight, not a monster. A greenhouse, only sealed for longer than any greenhouse was ever meant to be sealed, its warmth turned so completely inward that it has become something else entirely, something folded, something private, something that has quietly forgotten the open air. You do not need to feel frightened by this image. There is no urgency in it, no crashing gate, no sudden slam of glass. It happened slowly, across ages so long they resist the shape of a single lifetime, a single civilization, even a single species standing upright and watching the sky. It is less like a trap springing shut and more like a held note deepening. A warm room growing warmer by such small, patient degrees that no one inside it could ever have felt the moment when comfortable became something entirely different. Enclosure, not alarm. A door closed so long ago that the closing itself is no longer a wound, only a fact, only a shape the world has settled into and grown used to. The way a hand grows used to a ring worn for years until it no longer notices the weight of the gold. We are not rushing toward danger tonight. We are drifting, unhurried, toward a very old, very sealed, very private kind of warmth, and there is something almost restful in that thought, if you let it be restful. The idea of a door closed so long that closedness itself has become a form of quiet. So let yourself drift a little closer now, the way that light itself seems to drift a little closer to our sun with every long year of its orbit, tracing its own tight, patient circle nearer to that fire than the circle we trace ourselves. Picture yourself easing forward through the dark of space, not falling, not rushing, simply approaching the way a boat eases toward a shore it has all night to reach. Behind you, home shrinks to a blue marble, and then to a point of light itself, one more evening star for some other traveler to name. Ahead of you, the stars fall back and thin. The small, brilliant point that hung so patiently above the evening horizon begins, unhurried, to widen. It stops being a point and starts, instead, to become a shape. A low curve of pale gold and cream growing at the edges of your vision the way morning light grows at the edges of a curtain before you ever open your eyes. There is no glare to it, no harshness, only that same patient reflective brightness we noticed from so far away, now filling more and more of the space in front of you. A great pale sphere with no features on it at all, no blue seas, no brown continents, no white spiral of storm, no dark patch of forest or desert, no marking of any kind to break the surface of the light. Nothing but an unbroken, seamless glow, smooth as the inside of a shell, hiding whatever lies beneath it the way a closed eyelid hides the dream still moving underneath, patient, private, giving nothing away. This featurelessness is itself worth resting inside for a moment. Every other world we might have drifted toward would have shown us something by now. The rust dust of one, the banded storms of another, the broken crater fields that mark a history written plainly on a face. This one shows us only smoothness, only glow. It is the most reflective world of its size in our whole small neighborhood of the sun, casting back so much of the light that falls on it that looking at it directly, even from far off, is like looking at a lamp behind a paper shade, bright, warm, softened, and utterly without detail. Whatever this twin has become, it has become good at keeping its own secrets, wrapping itself so completely that even our approach, even this long, unhurried drift toward it, tells us nothing yet about what waits underneath. Only that it waits, only that it glows, only that it is indeed closer now than it was a moment ago, and closer still with every breath you let go. And this is where we will spend a long while tonight, here at the edge of that glow, before we ever try to go beneath it, held at the threshold of the sealed greenhouse, watching its pale, featureless face grow larger and larger, warm light, with no window in it anywhere, no gap, no seam, nothing yet to tell us what kind of warmth we are about to enter. Let yourself rest here a moment longer. Let the approach be slow enough that it never once feels like falling. The whole of that hidden world is still waiting, patient as it has always been, and there is nothing in front of you now but this soft, endless, luminous veil drawing nearer by degrees, ready, when you are ready, to be entered. And now you are close enough that the point of light has stopped being a point. It has widened into a curve, and the curve has widened into a whole pale world, and the world has no face. You keep waiting for a feature to resolve, a coastline, a shadow, the seam where one shade of ground meets another, and none arrives, because what you are looking at is not ground at all. It is a shell, one unbroken skin of cloud, stretched without a single tear over the entire sphere. The way a greenhouse pane is stretched over its frame, sealed at every edge so that nothing inside can be glimpsed from without. This is the veil, and every part of you that came here hoping to see a surface will have to set that hope down for a while and simply drift along the outside of it, learning its texture instead of what it hides. The cloud is not water. Let that settle in you slowly, without alarm, the way you'd absorb any strange fact about a place you'll never have to touch. These clouds are made of sulfuric acid, fine droplets of it suspended through a deck tens of kilometers thick, layered like sheets folded one over another. From here, from this safe hanging distance, they are simply pale, simply bright, catching the sunlight and giving almost all of it straight back out into space. Something like 70% of the light that reaches this planet never gets past the veil at all. It lands on the cloud tops and bounces away again, out toward the watching sky, out toward the exact place you began this journey, looking up from a dark yard at a low bright star. That is the whole secret of why she shines the way she does, why she is the brightest point in the evening and the brightest point in the morning, brighter than anything else that moves against the black. Not because a hidden lamp burns beneath her, because her cloak is so pale, so complete, so good at giving light away rather than keeping it, that she becomes a mirror held up to the sun, and you have spent your whole life mistaking a mirror for a flame. Hold that thought the way you'd hold something smooth and cool in your palm. A world that hides itself so well, it becomes the most visible thing in the sky. There is a kind of tenderness in that, if you let yourself feel it that way, the deepest privacy wrapped in the most public shine. Every other bright thing you have ever watched from a rooftop or a window ledge has earned its glow by burning, or by catching a narrow band of light at just the right angle and losing most of the rest. This one earns it differently, earns it by refusal, by turning away almost 3/4 of everything the sun offers and letting the remainder sink no further than the cloud tops. Think of a pale wall that gives back nearly every knock upon it, the sound returning to you almost as loud as you sent it out. That is this planet's relationship to sunlight, an answer given back nearly whole, so that from any dark yard on any clear evening, she reads not as a distant ember, but as something closer, something almost near enough to touch. Though nothing could be further from the truth, the nearness is only ever the nearness of the shine. Everything else about her keeps its distance, sealed away behind that same bright, answering wall. Now let your attention widen, the way it does in the last minutes before sleep, taking in more than it means to. The veil is not still. It moves, all of it, together, in one long, unhurried sweep that carries the entire cloud deck around the planet again and again. Feel the size of that first, before the speed of it, a shell wide enough to wrap a world nearly the size of your own, moving as a single sheet, no seam ripping loose anywhere, no eddy left behind to mark where it has been. And it circles all the way around in only about 4 days. 4 days for the whole pale shell to sweep once around a planet that itself takes the better part of a year to complete a single turn beneath it, the winds up here entirely unhitched from the rock, and warmth far below, racing ahead of it, lapping it again and again, a current moving so much faster than the world it covers that the two seem to belong to different clocks entirely. This is what your books would call superrotation, and it is one of the strangest weathers known to us. An atmosphere outrunning its own planet, the sky in a hurry while the ground beneath dreams on at its own slow pace. You might expect that kind of speed to feel violent from up close, and somewhere within it, it likely is, but you are not down inside the wind itself. You are only watching it stream past you the way you'd watch a wide, slow river from a bridge, aware of the current's strength without being pulled into it. There is something almost soothing in imagining a motion so vast and so steady. 4 days. Always 4 days. The shell circling and circling with a rhythm as dependable as breath, indifferent to anything beneath it, keeping its own patient count of time regardless of what the rest of the planet is doing. A whole sky moving in one long, continuous exhale, over and over, wrapping the world the way a sheet wraps a sleeping shape, tucked around every side with nothing left uncovered. And beneath that racing shell, everything stays hidden. No eye that has ever looked toward this planet from beyond it, not from a hillside on a clear night, not from any spacecraft drifting past in orbit with its cameras open and patient, has ever once seen the ground itself. Every photograph taken from above shows only this: the same pale, textureless cloud top, sometimes marked with a faint ghostly banding where the fastest currents run, but never a mountain, never a plain, never a single hard edge of rock. It is a whole world that has made itself, from the outside, into rumor. You can know its size, its weight, its place in the turning of the planets around the sun, and still stand, or hover, or drift, a hand's width from its cloud tops, and be told nothing at all about what lies beneath your feet, if you had feet to plant there. That is the nature of a veil this complete. It does not almost hide the thing behind it. It hides it entirely, the way a closed lid hides whatever waits inside a covered dish, still warm, still there, simply not yet shown to you. Somewhere further out, past the edge of this shell, a spacecraft is passing right now with its instruments open, patient as always, recording only the same pale, unbroken curve it has always recorded, decade after decade, mission after mission. None of them have ever been unlucky. There has simply never been a gap. The 4-day wind sees to that, smoothing over any thinning before it can widen into a window, drawing the whole deck along behind it like a curtain that never quite finishes closing, because it never truly opens either. A world can keep a secret this way for longer than any single watcher's lifetime, simply by never once relaxing its grip, the wind doing on the outside what patience does on the inside, both of them holding the same shape closed. Let yourself be at ease with not seeing, for now. There will be time later to go further, to let the cloud open and the ground rise up to meet you in its own hour. For the moment, it's enough to simply be here, held at the outer edge of that racing shell, feeling how strange it is that a world can be both so bright and so unseen. A bright secret, a lit room with the curtains drawn so evenly that not even a seam of light escapes to hint at what burns inside. So let your descent begin, unhurried, the way you might lower yourself down through fog on a slow morning, trusting the ground to be there even before you can see it. The topmost cloud gives first, not a wall, more a softening, a thinning of the pale glow into something you can pass through rather than something that stops you. Around you, the great 4-day current keeps its endless sweep, but you are moving differently now, sinking rather than circling, leaving that racing outer layer behind the way you'd leave a busy street for a quieter room just off it. The light changes almost at once, dimming by careful degrees, the acid haze deepening from a blinding pale into something more, the color of old brass. Something you could almost call restful if you didn't already sense how much more lies folded beneath it. This is only the first layer of many. Beneath it, the cloud deck goes on and on, thickening, warming, gathering itself the deeper it runs. The way a blanket gathers its own weight, the further down you press into it. You are not yet inside the heat that gives this whole enclosure its name and its nature, that is still some way beneath you, waiting in the folded, sealed warmth this world has been keeping to itself for longer than you can easily hold in your mind. But you are inside the veil now, truly inside it. The bright, mirrored shell closing softly overhead behind you, and the long, slow way down into the greenhouse itself has only just begun. Beneath that first cloud, layer the light changes, thickens, turns the color of a lamp left on behind a curtain, and you keep sinking through it at no pace at all, simply arriving, the way sleep arrives. And here, held inside the pale glow you have just passed under, is the reason for everything that will come after, the air itself. Not the clouds, which are only the outer wrapping, but the great, deep breath of gas beneath them. Some 96.5 parts in every 100 of it carbon dioxide, so much of it, layered so far down that it behaves less like weather and more like a second invisible ocean poured over the whole planet. You can let that number rest in you without alarm. It is simply a description of abundance, of a world that kept nearly everything it ever exhaled and never once let it go. Think of how sunlight behaves when it meets such an air. It does not stop at the cloud tops, not entirely. Some of it slips through, filtering down in that low orange patience, reaching the deep atmosphere and eventually the ground, carrying its warmth inward the way morning light finds its way through a shut blind and lies across a floor. That part is simple, almost tender, light arriving, welcomed in. The strangeness begins after. Because when that warmth tries to leave again, radiating back outward the way it would on any ordinary world, the carbon dioxide will not let it pass. It catches the heat in its molecules, holds it, releases it again downward as often as up, so that for every measure of warmth let in, only a fraction ever finds its way back out to space. Sunlight arrives easily. Heat leaves reluctantly, if at all. And an atmosphere built almost entirely of a gas that behaves this way does not simply warm a little. It begins, patiently, over uncountable years, to warm upon itself. This is the shape of a runaway greenhouse, and it is worth resting in the word greenhouse a moment, because it is not a metaphor here, it is the plain mechanism, the literal architecture of the place you are descending into. A greenhouse lets light in through glass, and then will not let the resulting warmth back out through that same glass. It accumulates, folds inward, thickens the air inside until the room holds a summer that has nowhere else to go. Venus built such a room around an entire globe and then sealed it, not with glass, but with 100 kilometers of dense, heat-trapping air, and left it running, uninterrupted, for longer than there have been mountains on some worlds. Whatever warmth arrived 1 million years ago is, in some sense, still here. It never left. It only settled deeper, joined by all the warmth that came after, each year's arriving light adding its small deposit to a sum that has been accumulating since long before there were eyes anywhere to measure it. It may once have been otherwise. Some who study this world suspect that very long ago, before the folding began in earnest, Venus may have kept something closer to an ordinary balance, perhaps even standing water somewhere upon her surface, a young sun weaker than the one we know now, warmth arriving and warmth leaving in something nearer to an even trade. If so, that time is folded so far beneath the present that it reaches us only as a soft possibility, a rumor carried in the chemistry of the clouds rather than any memory the ground still holds. What matters now is only the outcome, the long afternoon that never ended, the balance that tipped once, by some small and ancient margin, and then kept tipping, each fraction of trapped warmth making the next fraction of trapped warmth a little more certain, until an entire planet had exhaled its way into this single unbroken condition. You are not descending into an accident. You are descending into an arithmetic, patiently completed. You can feel the completeness of this if you imagine, for a moment, what it would be to breathe out into a room and have every breath remain, visible, thickening the air around you, never drawn away by any draft, any window, any small mercy of ventilation. That is close to what happened here, except it happened to an entire atmosphere, across an entire planet, and it happened slowly enough that nothing needed to struggle against it. There is no violence in a runaway greenhouse. It is not an explosion or a collapse. It is only a very long agreement between light and gas, renewed each day for millions of years, each renewal slightly deepening the last, until the imbalance became simply how the place was made. And this is where the thread you have been carrying since you first saw her low and bright above a darkening field becomes, quite plainly, the truth of the world beneath you. A greenhouse sealed for 1,000,000 years, warmth folded over itself until it forgot the sky. It was an image of enclosure when you first held it, something to picture gently from a great distance. Now it is simply what is happening around you, layer by layer, molecule by molecule. Because to trap heat this completely is, in a real sense, to close a lid. The sky is still there, technically. The clouds still turn, the winds still carry them swiftly around the globe above, but for the warmth held down here, for the heat that arrives each day and tries to leave again each night, the sky has become unreachable. It rises, is caught, is turned back, rises again, is caught again, on and on, so many times over so many years that it is not wrong to say the warmth has forgotten the sky exists at all. It behaves now as though there were no way out, because for all practical purposes there is none. What goes down does not come back up. What warms, stays warm. Picture, if it helps, a room with many doors, and each door, one by one across a long age, quietly swinging shut and staying shut. At first, a breeze could still find its way through, warmth could still slip out some narrow gap and be carried off into the vast cold beyond the walls. But carbon dioxide is a patient closer of doors. Molecule by molecule, it filled the gaps, thickened the air until the last narrow gap sealed itself too, and the room simply stopped noticing there had ever been an outside. This is not a place holding its breath. It is a place that has finished holding its breath long ago and settled into breathing only itself, over and over. The same warmth passed inward, downward, inward again, needing nothing more from beyond its own walls, because beyond its own walls has become, for all purposes that matter to the warmth itself, unreachable. There is something almost restful in understanding a place this way, not as a chaos of separate frightening facts, a number here, a number there, but as one single, unbroken cause working itself out with total patience across unthinkable spans of time. Nothing here happened suddenly. Nothing here happened to spite anyone or anything. A world with abundant carbon dioxide and strong sunlight and no ready way to shed its heat will, given enough time, inevitably fold its own warmth back over itself. The way a blanket folded again and again grows heavier, not because more blanket appears, but because what was already there simply stops being let go. Venus did not become extreme. It became consistent. It became, across its whole surface, a single held temperature, a single unhurried outcome of a mechanism anyone could trace, step by step, gas by gas, given only enough patience to follow the reasoning all the way down. And that is what waits for you now, at the bottom of this reasoning. Not a mystery, but a weight. Because an atmosphere 96.5% carbon dioxide, piled 100 kilometers deep, sealed against its own escape for age upon age, is also, simply, a great deal of air. All of it pressing downward, all of it settling toward the ground the way anything settles when it has nowhere else to go, gathering itself into a pressure and a heat that you have not yet felt. Not directly, though you have been sinking toward it this whole time without quite noticing the descent. There is no need to hurry toward that weight, and no need to brace against it either. It will simply arrive, the way the floor arrives beneath a body lowered slowly onto a mattress. Not a fall, only a settling. Only gravity finishing a sentence it began a long way up. You can feel, if you let yourself, the faintest suggestion of it even now, low in the dark beneath you, not as pain, not as danger, but as a kind of thickness in the air ahead, a presence gathering where before there was only idea. Let it stay just that a moment longer, a suggestion, a shape approaching from below, the way a low hum approaches before it becomes a sound. The greenhouse has done its unhurried work for 1,000,000 years to arrive at exactly this moment, exactly this air, exactly this waiting warmth beneath you, and you are, at last, close enough to feel, in your own weightless drifting body, what all of it has patiently become. And that weight you can already sense above you. The air that would not let its warmth go has a floor to land on. You are close enough now to feel it, rather than imagine it. Not a place of jagged edges or sudden shocks, but a place of pressing, patient fullness, the way a heavy blanket settles rather than falls. Down here the air itself has become almost a substance, thickened by everything the greenhouse gathered and kept across 1,000,000 folded years. If you could set a hand upon the ground, the first thing you would notice is not heat, but density, the sheer brimming amount of sky stacked over every inch of stone. 92 times the push of Earth's air rests here, an unhurried, continuous pressure, the kind you might imagine deep beneath an ocean, rather than under any sky. Picture, if it helps you rest, standing at the bottom of a shaft of seawater, almost a kilometer tall, all of it holding still above you, none of it moving to strike or startle, simply there, simply leaning its whole weight downward in one long, wordless embrace. That is the pressure of this floor. It does not fall on you, it surrounds you, the way water surrounds a diver who has learned to stop fighting it and simply float within the hold. There is no need here to brace against it, no need to hold your breath the way your body might expect. Let the image carry you instead toward every ordinary weight you have already trusted without thinking. A stack of quilts at the foot of a bed, the hand that rests on a shoulder before sleep, the sense of a door closed against the wind. Multiply that trust by 92. and you begin to approach what this air is doing to the ground below it. Not crushing, not violent, only vast, only endlessly, faithfully present. A pressure so total that it has long since stopped being an event and become instead a condition, a permanent fact of the room you are floating through. Nothing here is falling on you. Everything here has simply always been leaning this way, since before there was anyone to notice the lean at all. And within that held weight lives the warmth, not a flicker, not a wave of heat that comes and goes, but a temperature near 465 degrees, steady enough to melt lead where it lies, steady enough that a bar of it would run like water across this basalt floor. Let that number rest in you for a moment without alarm. Here it is, simply a fact of the room, the way a house has a temperature you stop noticing once you are inside it long enough. Venus sits farther from the sun than her scorched little neighbor Mercury, and yet she is hotter than Mercury will ever be, an ember banked so completely under her own folded atmosphere that distance from the sun barely matters anymore. Mercury, bare beneath an open sky, loses whatever heat the sun gives it the moment night arrives, cooling for lack of any lid to hold the warmth in place. Venus has that lid, thick and sealed and endless, and so she keeps every degree she is ever given, the way a covered ember outlasts an open flame, though it burns no brighter to begin with. It is not the sun reaching down and touching this ground with fire. It is the ground itself, and the thick, close air above it, holding a warmth that arrived long ago and was never given a door to leave by. The greenhouse remembers every degree it was ever given. It has been sealed so long, this warmth so many times folded back over itself. That heat here no longer behaves like something passing through. It behaves like something that has simply always been home. You could imagine, if it eases you, an old glass house tended by no one for 1,000,000 years, its panes clouded and unbroken, its inner air grown thick and settled with the memory of every summer it was ever asked to hold, and never once allowed to open its doors and let a single one of those summers go. And this is the strangest part of the warmth, the part worth resting your attention on longest. It does not really change. Turn your thoughts toward the line between day and night that circles every other world you have ever known, the cool hush that comes with dusk, the way a desert can burn all afternoon and then shiver by midnight. None of that happens here. Walk from the noon side of this planet all the way around to the side turned fully away from the sun, and the number on your skin would barely move. The night ground is nearly as warm as the day ground. There is no cool hour waiting on the far side of the world, no gentle drop after the light goes. Because the air above is so dense, so endlessly circulating, that it carries its warmth with it everywhere it goes, smoothing every difference before it can take hold. Whatever heat falls on one hemisphere is shared, almost immediately with the other, passed hand to hand through that thick, moving blanket of sky, until the whole globe holds nearly the same temperature at once, like a single room where every corner has settled to the same easy warmth and stopped arguing about it. There are no seasons either, no tilt of the year swinging warmth toward one pole and then the other the way it does on gentler worlds. Venus keeps herself so close to upright as she circles the sun that no season ever leans in to change the light, and the dense, unbroken blanket above would erase the difference even if a season tried. There is no autumn cooling here, no long-anticipated thaw of spring, no month set apart from any other by so much as a degree. Every day arrives already dressed the same, already carrying the same held warmth as the day before it and the day that will follow. On, without a single one of them ever asking to be different. So there is only the one long warmth, unbroken across the day and the year alike. Not a rhythm, not a breathing in and out, but a single note held so steadily that it stops sounding like a note at all and starts to feel instead like silence. Think of it as one enormous breath, taken once and simply kept, warmth drawn in long ago, folded inward, and never let back out, held now in a single unbroken exhale that never quite finishes leaving the lungs of this world. That is the whole climate of the surface, everywhere you might stand upon it, not weather, but a held state, patient and unchanging. The way a stone at the bottom of a deep well keeps one temperature through every season above it. There is a kind of rest inside a fact like that. If you let yourself lean into it rather than away, nothing here is waiting to turn colder in an hour. Nothing is gathering itself to storm. The warmth simply is, everywhere, always, and there is nothing left for it to do but stay. You might expect that a world so wrapped, so evenly warmed, would also be a world in motion, spinning briskly beneath its blanket, the way Earth turns once through each of its days, morning arriving on schedule, the sun climbing and falling in an orderly hurry. Venus does nothing of the kind. Beneath all that sealed and steady heat, something else is happening, something almost too unlikely to say plainly. This whole vast, held world is turning so slowly, and in such an unexpected direction, that it seems to have forgotten which way a world is supposed to spin. Rest for a moment on the shape of that idea before any number attaches itself to it. A world that has folded its warmth so completely inward, that has sealed its own sky away from itself so thoroughly, might also, you could imagine, fold its motion inward too, draw its turning close the way it drew its heat close, until even time begins to pool rather than pass. There is a hush to that fact worth sitting inside for a while, a stillness in the turning itself that matches the stillness of the warmth above it, as though this whole sealed greenhouse, having gathered its heat so completely, gathered its hurry as well, and simply set it down. Nothing here rushes toward morning. Nothing here counts the hours the way a clock in your own home might, ticking forward, insistent, certain of where it is going next. Let your thoughts loosen here, unhooked from clocks and daylight as you know them, and drift toward the shape of a single day on this world. A day so long, so unlike any day you have ever slept through, that it reaches backward past the whole of the year that contains it, folding time over on itself the way the atmosphere folded its warmth over long before you arrived to notice either one. And here, low against that single-held breath of warmth, you begin to notice something even stranger than the heat, something that has nothing to do with temperature at all. It has to do with time. Venus does not turn the way a world is supposed to turn. Somewhere back before the heat was folded shut, something tipped this planet the wrong way round, and it has kept its wrongness ever since, spinning backward against the direction of its own orbit, so that if you could stand on that vast basalt floor and wait, truly wait, with nothing pulling at you and nowhere else to be, the sun would not rise in the east at all. It would rise, faint and orange through that permanent ceiling of cloud, somewhere in the west, and it would cross the sky the wrong way, patient and unhurried, tracing a path that feels, to anything born under an earth sky, like watching a clock's hands drift backward without ever quite alarming you, because there is no clock here to compare it to. There is only the planet, and the planet's own private sense of before and after. And that sense of before and after is almost unimaginably long. A single turn of this world, one full day start to return, takes about 243 of our days to complete. Let that settle the way warmth settles into a held breath. 243 days for the ground beneath you to finish one rotation, to bring whatever landmark you might have chosen, a ridge, a plain, a shadow, back around to face the place it started. And stranger still, the walk around the sun, the year itself, finishes faster than the day does. 225 days to complete an orbit, 18 days shorter than a single spin on its own axis. A year, here, is briefer than a day. You can let that thought move through you slowly, without needing to resolve it, the way you'd let a low chord keep ringing after the instrument has gone quiet. This is a world where the smaller unit of time has grown larger than the larger one, where the ordinary arithmetic of morning and evening, of year following year, has folded in on itself the same way the warmth has, tucked so deep inside its own greenhouse ceiling that the ordinary rules stopped applying long ago. Think of what that means for the ground itself, for the floor you have been resting against. On Earth, a day is a kind of pulse, light, then dark, then light again, a rhythm your whole body knows the shape of even in sleep. Here there is no such pulse, or if there is, it is stretched so long and so thin that it hardly registers as rhythm at all. A single Venusian day and night together, sunrise to sunrise, if such a word even fits, comes to something like 117 of our days when you account for that backward spin working against the slow orbit. Long enough that an entire Earth season could pass, could begin and end, while the light here has barely begun to shift the shadows on a distant ridge. Long enough that if you closed your eyes and drifted, and someone gently woke you again 4 months later, the sun, that faint smear of orange through the cloud, might have moved only a hand's width across whatever unseen sky the clouds are hiding. There is no rush here. There has never been any need for rush. The whole world moves at the pace of something that has already arrived exactly where it is going, and now simply persists. And you can feel, resting here, how still this makes everything. Not the stillness of held breath before something happens, but the stillness of a place where nothing is required to happen for a very long while. No wind ruffles a leaf, because there is no leaf, and the wind that does exist far above moves entirely apart from this deep, patient floor. No shadow leaps from short to long the way a shadow does at your feet on a bright afternoon. A shadow here would lean, over the course of a season, the way a very old tree leans, a change too gradual to watch, only to notice, later, that it has happened. Time does not pass here so much as it pools, the way warmth pools in a low place, gathering and thickening and settling, in no hurry to move on to the next hour, because on this world the next hour is a very long way off indeed. If Earth's days are a heartbeat, this world's day is closer to the drift of an ice age, present, real, unhurried, unfolding on a scale that asks nothing of you but to notice it exists. There is something almost restful in that, once you let yourself sit with it rather than measure it. A place where the sun crosses the sky backward and barely crosses it at all. A place where a year is shorter than a day, where the ordinary scaffolding your body uses to feel time, morning, noon, evening, sleep, simply does not apply, because the scaffolding here was built on a wholly different frame, tucked inside that same sealed warmth that has held everything else in place since the greenhouse first closed over. The ground does not hurry toward night. The light does not hurry toward morning. Everything simply persists, low and steady, at a pace too vast for a single visit to measure. The way a very deep sleep can feel like both no time at all and an entire lifetime, depending only on how you choose to hold it. You might wonder, drifting here, What could possibly have tipped this world so far from the ordinary turning of its neighbors? What could have left it spinning the wrong way at so patient a pace? No one asks it to explain itself. It simply is, and has been, for longer than there were eyes anywhere nearby to notice. Perhaps some ancient collision, long before the clouds ever sealed shut, nudged the whole planet over onto its back, and perhaps the thick, folded air itself, tugging at the crust beneath it for age upon age, slowed the turning further still. The atmosphere and the ground locked together in one long, unhurried negotiation that settled, eventually, into the pace you feel now. It does not matter, resting here, which came first. What matters only is the feeling of it. A world that has stopped hurrying toward anything, that turns the way a great tide turns, so gradually that the turning itself becomes a kind of rest. There is a comfort in a place with nowhere urgent to be. The ground does not wait for the sun. The sun does not chase the ground. Each moves at its own vast, private pace, indifferent and unbothered. The way your own breath moves in the deepest part of sleep, so slow it seems almost to have stopped, and yet never quite does. Let yourself hold that image a moment longer. A world where the day outlasts the year, where the light takes a season merely to lean a shadow, where nothing is required to hurry, because nothing here has ever known what hurry felt like. It is not an emptiness. It is closer to a long, low note held far past where you expected it to fade, still filling the room, still warm, still patient. You have carried the weight of this floor, the crush of it, the terrible steady heat of it, and none of that has changed here, in this stretched and folded time. But you no longer have to measure it against your own quick pulse. You can simply let it be as vast as it is, and let yourself become, for now, just as unhurried. And it is that very persistence, that very lack of hurry, that lets you begin to loosen your hold on the crushing floor beneath you now, to feel it release you rather than hold you down. You have felt the weight of this place, the near hundredfold pressure, the heat that would melt lead, the long backward turning that makes a single day outlast a year. You do not need to carry any of that further. There is nowhere else for the weight to press you, and nothing further it asks of you. So let yourself begin, gently, to lift, not climbing, not straining, simply rising the way warmth rises, the way a held breath finally, easily, lets itself go upward and out. Leave the basalt floor below. Let the crushing dark of the lower air fall away beneath you inch by patient inch, the temperature easing back from its terrible height, the pressure thinning from its ocean-deep weight, degree by degree, kilometer by kilometer, as though the world itself were exhaling you upward through everything it has folded shut for so long. Rise past the layers where nothing lives and nothing needs to, past the thick, slow murk, where the only motion is the trace of that same super-rotating wind you glimpsed once, high above, circling the whole planet every 4 days while the ground beneath barely stirs. Let that rising carry you higher still, past 50 kilometers, past the place where the terrible heat begins, at last, to loosen its grip, where the crushing weight of all that folded over air begins, at last, to lighten. There is one place in this whole sealed and airless feeling house where the walls remember something closer to gentleness. One narrow band, high in the cloud itself, where the pressure and the warmth soften into something your own body might almost recognize as kind. You are rising toward it now, drifting up through the last of the deep, dim orange dark, toward the one room in this vast and ancient greenhouse, where you might, for a while, simply be carried. And already you are rising. The weight that pressed against you at the floor of that furnace begins to thin, layer by layer, as though the whole planet were exhaling you upward through its own throat, patient and unhurried, no urgency in it at all. Only the natural drift of something buoyant finding its level. 50 kilometers. Then 55. You feel the crush loosen its hold finger by finger, the burden of 92 atmospheres falling away behind you until, somewhere in this high pocket of sky, the numbers on either side of you begin, at last, to resemble numbers you already know. Here the air holds a pressure close to Earth's own sea level, and the warmth around you settles into something a body could almost call comfortable. Not a furnace anymore, but a room. The one habitable room in a house that sealed every other door 1,000,000 years ago. You have found the temperate floor of Venus, the single band in this whole folded atmosphere, where distance from the sun and the weight of all that air above cancel each other into balance. Everywhere else on this world is punishment or crush. But here, near 55 kilometers above the basalt plains you cannot see, is a narrow shelf of almost mercy, a place where, if such a thing were possible, skin would not burn and breath would not fail, where the terror the name Venus carries dissolves into something closer to floating in a warm bath at the exact moment before sleep takes you under. Around you the cloud is not the sulfuric menace it will be called in daylight stories told from a safe distance. Up close, inside it, it is only mist, pale and endless, brushing past you the way fog brushes past a window left cracked open on a mild evening. You cannot see the plains below, and for now that does not matter. There is nothing to watch for, nothing to brace against. The mist parts and closes around your shoulders as you move through it, and it asks for nothing in return but your willingness to be inside it. And that is what you do now. You stop trying to go anywhere. You let yourself be carried. There is a current here, vast and unbroken, one that does not rush so much as pour, a river of warm air wrapping the entire circumference of the planet, sweeping the whole cloud deck around Venus roughly once every 4 days, faster by far than the ground below ever turns. You do not fight it. You do not steer through it. You simply let it take your weight the way still water takes the weight of something that has stopped swimming. Weightless, held, the current moves, and you move with it. And there is nothing left for you to decide. No direction to choose. No effort to spend. The air itself has already chosen, and all that is left for you is to go where the air goes. Feel how little is required of you in this drifting. Your arms do not need to reach for anything. Your legs do not need to carry you. The great engine of wind beneath and around you does all the labor of motion, tirelessly. The way it has done for longer than any memory reaches back, circling and circling this sealed sphere while you simply ride inside its breath. Above you the cloud thickens into a pale, endless ceiling. Below you it falls away into a haze that swallows any hint of the world beneath. You are suspended between two kinds of nothing, and neither one asks anything of you in return. Notice, if you want to, the small details of being carried this way. The faint press of moving air against your skin, warm rather than scalding now, more like the air off a summer lake at dusk than anything you might have feared from a name like this one. The way sound seems to thin at this height, the winds passing less a roar than a long, continuous murmur, the kind that can sit underneath a mind and hold it steady rather than stir it awake. There is no ground to fall toward, no edge to drift past. There is only altitude and current and the unhurried arithmetic of a wind that circles the whole planet roughly once every 4 days indifferent to anything except its own patient repetition. This is the carried part of the night. Let it last. Let yourself be pulled along the curve of an entire planet by a wind you did not raise and do not need to understand. The way a leaf set upon a river does not need to understand the river to be carried the whole length of it. There is a rhythm to this current, low and steady, and if you listen for it, not with your ears, but with whatever in you tracks the passing of even, patient movement, you can feel the whole atmosphere turning beneath you like something enormous breathing in its sleep. In through the sunward side, warmed, around and around. Out again on the far edge of the world. 4 days for a full circling of the globe, and you have all the time inside that circling that you could ever want. Nothing waits for you. Nothing needs you to arrive. Somewhere far below, the plains lie in their long silence, and the furnace heat waits exactly where it has always waited, but none of that reaches you here. Up in this one habitable seam of sky, the greenhouse that sealed itself so long ago has left, almost by accident, a single space it forgot to close all the way, a lingering breath of mildness inside a house otherwise built entirely of warmth folded over on itself, 1,000,000 years thick. You are resting inside that forgetting. Let your weight settle fully into the current's keeping. Let your shoulders loosen the way they do when a boat finally stops rocking against the effort of a swimmer and simply drifts with the tide. There is no version of this in which you must hold on. The current is already holding you. Time moves differently when you are only being carried and not carrying yourself. Minutes lose their edges. The pale light around you does not change, because up here, the cloud filters everything into the same even glow. No shadow lengthening to mark the hour. No sun to climb or fall. Only the unbroken hush of altitude and wind. You could stay a long while in this suspended room and lose track entirely of how long a while has been. That is allowed. That is, in fact, the whole point of a room like this. A pause built into a world that otherwise never pauses. A place where the crush below and the brightness above both agree, for once, to leave you be. Let the current carry you further still. There is no destination waiting at the far end of this ride, no arrival you need to prepare for, only more of the same patient circling. The same warm mist folding and unfolding around you, like a held blanket that never quite settles and never quite slips away either. Somewhere beneath the cloud floor, the wind is doing this same slow work it has always done, turning the whole veil of the planet in the time it takes a single earthly workweek to pass, while the rocky world underneath barely stirs at all. You are riding the fastest part of a very old, very patient machine, and it feels, from inside, like nothing more than floating. If your mind wants somewhere to rest while the current does its work, let it rest here, on the simple fact of being held. Nothing below can reach you at this height. Nothing above asks you to climb higher. You are exactly where the current has decided you should be, moving at exactly the pace it has always kept, and there is a kind of relief particular to that arrangement. The relief of a body that has stopped negotiating with its surroundings and has simply agreed to go along. And when at last the current begins, so gradually you almost do not notice the change, to bend downward, not falling, never falling, only following a slope it has always known was there, you go with it the same way you came, without resistance, without decision. The warm room above you narrows into memory. The haze beneath thickens by degrees, and the temperature that had loosened its grip begins, patiently, link by link, to close it again, though not yet with any force, not yet with any weight you need to brace against. You are simply descending the way a held breath is finally let go, unhurried. The current lowering you the way it lifted you, as though this whole vast wind had only ever meant to set you down somewhere in particular. Below, through the thinning murk, something waits that no eye from orbit has ever quite seen directly. Something known only through touch and echo, and the patient reach of radar across a century of listening. A floor of old rock, folded and smoothed and remade, older stories written into younger stone. You feel it before you see it. A change in the air's texture, a settling weight returning by degrees, the sense of a great flat world rising up to meet whatever is being lowered toward it. The current thins. The light dims by the smallest measure. And somewhere beneath you now, closer with every unhurried moment, the surface of Venus is finally beginning to take shape. And down you drift, still, past the one temperate room of the sealed house, past the last pale ribbon of cloud, until even that thins to nothing above you, and there is only the floor of the greenhouse left to meet. No eye has ever seen this floor directly. Not with light, not with a lens pressed to glass. The veil will not allow it. And it never has, in all the long turning of this world. But there are other ways of seeing, ways that do not need the sky to be open at all. A pulse sent down through the haze and caught again on its way back up. The shape of the ground read not in color but in echo. The whole planet mapped the way a hand might read a face in the dark, patiently, by touch, tracing whatever answers back and letting that answer become a shape, a slope, a plane. This is how the surface comes to you now, not as a picture, but as a shape felt through the fingertips of radio waves, rising to meet you as you settle the last of the way down, the sealed sky closing over you completely, and something solid, at last, arriving beneath your feet. What answers back mostly is flatness. Enormous, unbroken flatness, plane after plane of dark volcanic basalt poured out so many times, so evenly, that the whole floor of this world reads like a single held expression, one long exhale set in stone. You move across it, and there is no sound to it, no wind that reaches you at this depth, only that dim orange hush and the long low roll of stone beneath you, cooling from some ancient outpouring into the shape it holds tonight, unchanged since the last of that heat left it. Basalt is what the ocean floors of your own world are made from too, that same dark volcanic skin laid down wherever melted rock rises and spreads and settles, but here it is not hidden under water, not covered over by anything at all. Here it is the whole visible face of the planet, plane upon plane, stretching out farther than an unhurried eye could ever follow to its edge. A floor built for nothing and no one, waiting the way stone waits, without needing to be seen. Almost the entire surface is like this, lowland, level, patient. Something close to 70 parts in 100 of the whole planet given over to plane of one kind or another. And rising from it, only twice in any great way, are the places where the ground has gathered itself upward into something taller. Ishtar Terra sits near the planet's northern crown, a highland broad enough to hold a small continent within its borders, its edges climbing out of the plain the way a shoulder rises from a body at rest, unhurried, without any sharp seam where flat becomes high. And nearly opposite it, girdling closer to the equator, sprawls Aphrodite Terra, larger still, a highland long enough to stretch most of the way around the waist of the world if it were unrolled and laid out end to end, its own surface folded and fractured in places where the ground beneath it has pushed and pulled at itself over unthinkable stretches of time. Between and around these two risen places, everything else settles back down into that same lowland hush, as though the planet, but for these two long gestures, chose almost everywhere else to lie flat and even and still, content to hold its shape and ask nothing more of the sky it cannot see. And within Ishtar Terra stands the one place on this whole world that reaches higher than anywhere else, Maxwell Montes. A range that lifts itself well past 11 kilometers above the mean of the plain, taller, root to crest, than the tallest mountain on your own earth, taller than any peak the thin bright air of your home world has ever worn. You do not need to climb it to feel its height. You can simply let your gaze travel up along it from the lowland floor. Up and up, the ground here folding and buckling instead of lying smooth, as though this one place alone refused the planet's habit of flatness and pushed back hard against its own great weight. Around its base and scattered elsewhere across the highlands lies a stranger ground still, tessera, they call it, a terrain crumpled and cross-hatched like fabric gathered in a loose hand and left that way. Ridge crossing ridge, in patterns that seem almost woven. Deliberate, though nothing wove them, but time and pressure working at the same patch of ground from many directions at once. It is the oldest skin this world still wears, laid down and folded long before the smooth plains ever poured out over everything else. A faint, lingering memory of a Venus older than the one you are walking now, kept only in these few high, wrinkled places the flood of later stone never quite reached. And it is worth resting a moment on just how young that everything else is. Count the scars across this ground, the bowl-shaped hollows a falling body leaves when it strikes a world and is not slowed by enough air to burn it away first, and you find remarkably few, scattered thin across the whole basalt floor, and almost none of them worn or softened or half swallowed by later flows the way an old, tired surface would wear its wounds after long enough exposed to time. That scarcity is itself a kind of telling, a clue held quietly in what is missing rather than in what is there. It suggests this ground is not ancient in the way a face lined by billions of years would be ancient, not a record of everything that has ever happened to it, layer upon layer upon layer. Somewhere between 300 and 600 million years ago, recent in the patient arithmetic of a planet, closer to now than to the beginning, something remade nearly the whole surface at once, flooding it over in fresh basalt, erasing almost everything that came before it except in those few pockets of old tessera the flood never quite reached. The ones you have just been walking among. You are walking, then, not across a fossil but across something closer to a young face, resurfaced, smoothed, still holding within it the memory of the very moment it was poured, as though the whole planet exhaled, once, long ago, and let that single breath become the ground beneath you now. And what did the pouring, what remade so much of this world so evenly, waits ahead of you now, rising out of the plain the farther you go? Because if the lowlands are the resting expression of this place, the volcanoes are its raised voice. And there are so many of them, more than 1,600 counted across the whole globe. More than any other world in this sun's family is known to carry. Not one or two great cones standing apart, but shield upon shield upon shield, scattered across the whole basalt floor, low broad mountains built the unhurried way a shield volcano always builds. One thin patient flow laid over another, over centuries, over epochs, until what began as a single fissure in the plain becomes a mountain wide enough to hold a small country within its base and still leave room to spare. You feel the ground begin to rise beneath you as you go, the flatness giving way by degrees to a long, low swell, and then another, and another. The horizon, losing its perfect evenness for the first time since you arrived, breaking instead into that low repeating rhythm of shield after shield after shield, each one a little larger than the last, each one drawing your steps a little farther out across the plain. And walking toward them, unhurried, you begin to feel your own size differently. From very far off, a shield volcano can look almost mild, a low rise barely troubling the horizon, but the closer you come, the more that low rise refuses to end, the base of it spreading wider than any single glance can hold, the whole shape of it too large to be taken in from any one place you might stand and look. There is no vantage close enough to see it whole. You would have to lift far above the plain again, higher even than the cloud room you rested in, just to hold one shield in a single unbroken view, its outline finally small enough to fit inside your sight. Down here, at the scale a walking body actually knows, there is only the long rise of ground going up and up ahead of you, patient, immense, indifferent to how small a step feels against it, indifferent to how long it might take to cross. And there is something in that indifference that asks nothing of you at all, no urgency, no need to hurry toward it or away, only the ground continuing exactly as it has continued for hundreds of millions of years, and you, walking across it, now, one small, warm, moving thing among stone that has nowhere to be and nothing left to prove. It is toward that immensity, and toward all the still greater vastness scattered across this floor beyond it, that you keep drifting now, the plain falling away behind you, the volcanoes only beginning to show their true and towering scale, the largest of them still waiting, wider than a horizon, somewhere ahead in the dim and endless orange light. And it is there, among the volcanoes, that you find you have space to breathe again, because a plain this old does not ask anything of you at all. You drift above it the way a held breath drifts once it has finally been let go. This is not one mountain rising alone to be measured against. This is a field of them. More than 1,600 volcanic rises and domes and broad shields scattered across the basalt. So many that counting them stops meaning anything after a while, and instead, you simply feel the number the way you feel the size of the ocean, without ever needing to name each wave. Somewhere among them stands Mat Mons, wide and low and ancient, its slopes built up in patient layers over hundreds of millions of years, and it is possible, only possible, nothing more certain than that somewhere far beneath its rock a thread of heat is turning over, moving in the dark, the planet shifting in its long sleep the way a sleeper turns without waking. You do not need to know which one. You only need to know that the whole plane is alive with that possibility, warm in its bones, and that this warmth asks nothing of you either. Because here is the strange kindness hidden inside all that scale. To be small against something this vast is not to be endangered by it. It is to be excused from it. On a plane built by forces working across hundreds of millions of years, your one small body, your one ordinary evening, your one tired mind carrying the weight of a day, none of it is required to hold anything up. The volcanoes were shaping themselves before you existed, and they will go on shaping themselves without needing your attention at all. There is a particular kind of relief in that, the same relief a child feels curling into a bed too large for them. The walls of the room set far back into the dark, nothing pressing close, nothing needing tending. You are not the scale this place was built to. You were never meant to carry it. So you don't. Let yourself feel how far this is from the small, sharp worries that usually crowd a mind at the end of a day. Those worries are built to your size, They fit exactly into the space of one evening, one conversation, one unfinished task, and that is precisely why they can crowd so close, pressing their edges against you. But a landscape shaped over 300 or 400 million years has no edges that fit against a single evening at all. It simply doesn't notice you the way a small worry does. And not being noticed, here, is not loneliness. It is permission. Permission to set the weight down. Because nothing here is waiting for you to pick it back up. The plane will still be exactly this wide tomorrow, and the volcanoes will still stand exactly this old, whether or not you carry anything into your sleep tonight. Think of how the greenhouse itself has always worked this way, folded shut long before any watching eye arrived to worry over it. Warmth turning inward on a schedule that has nothing to do with waiting for anyone. The whole enclosure sealed itself around its own age, indifferent and unhurried, the way a house settles into its foundations over centuries without once checking whether anyone is home. There is comfort in a scale like that, because it means the vastness was never watching you to begin with. It simply is. And something that simply is, without demand, without deadline, without needing you to perform any part in it, becomes very easy to rest inside. So let the size of the place become a place to lie down in, rather than a distance to cross. 1,600 rises and more, scattered from horizon to horizon farther than any eye could gather in one look. And not one of them requires you to understand it fully before you're allowed to stop thinking about it. You can let your attention go loose here, the way it goes loose in the last minutes before sleep, drifting from one low-shield volcano to the next, without needing to follow any particular thread of thought to its end. Mat Mons rising pale in the distance, smaller domes clustered near its base, like a hand of loosely curled fingers, long cooled flows spreading out in overlapping fans, one laid gently over the last, each one a record of a moment nobody was present to witness, and nobody needs to reconstruct now. It happened. It is finished, or perhaps not entirely finished, and either way, it does not require your effort. There is something almost tender in imagining that a few of these great shields might yet be warm far underneath. Some patient heat turning over in the deep rock, the way warmth turns over in a body at rest, present but unhurried, felt more as a low hum than as any kind of urgency. It is not the restless heat of something building toward an event. It is the patient heat of something that has all the time a planet can offer, and no reason at all to spend it quickly. If you let yourself picture that faint inner warmth, low and steady beneath hundreds of kilometers of ancient stone, it becomes less like standing near danger and more like resting your hand near a banked fire long after the flames have gone down to embers, near enough to feel the presence of warmth, far enough that it asks nothing of you but to notice it. And noticing, here, is really all there is to do. You are not required to explain the shield volcanoes, or number them precisely, or hold their scale in your mind the way you might hold a fact you'll be asked to recite. You are only asked to float above them for a while and let their size do what great size quietly always does to a small, tired mind. It puts things back into their proper proportion. The unfinished task from your day becomes very small. The worry that felt sharp an hour ago becomes very small. Even the reaching heat and the ancient plane and the whole sealed weight of the greenhouse becomes, in its own way, something you are simply passing over rather than something pressing down on you, because you were only ever asked to look, never to carry. Notice, too, how differently this vastness behaves compared to the vastness of a crowded room or a long list of things left undone. or a horizon of tomorrows stacked one on another. Those kinds of largeness close in, they multiply. They press their many small demands against you one after another until the sum of them feels heavier than any single part. But a plane built from 1,600 shields and rises doesn't multiply against you like that. It simply spreads outward, wide and unbroken, offering itself as one long, uninterrupted surface rather than 1,000 separate claims on your attention. There is nothing here keeping a tally. There is nothing here waiting its turn to ask something of you next. The volcanoes do not queue. They only lie there, one after another, patient shapes on an ancient floor. And the sheer evenness of that spread is itself a kind of hush, a landscape with no sharp corners left in it anywhere, worn down by time until even its mountains rest low and rounded against the sky they cannot see. You might imagine, if it helps, floating slowly along one long unbroken flow, a river of old lava, hardened now, its surface rippled the way a pond ripples and then freezes mid-motion, each ripple a moment that took its time and was never rushed toward completion. Trace it with your eyes the way you might trace a line of stitching, back and forth, its rhythm asking nothing more of you than to follow. Some of these flows stretch for hundreds of kilometers, born from a vent that opened once, poured its warmth outward for a long while, and then, in its own time, went motionless. And in that pause they became this, not a wound left in the land, but a smoothing over, a plain made gentler by the very heat that built it. It is a strange comfort to think that even something born from fire can end this way, quiet, level, and easy to rest a tired gaze upon. Let your attention wander now to the low domes near Mont Monce's feet, round and pale, some scarcely more than swellings in the rock. They formed slowly, thick, warm material rising, just enough to lift the surface into a shallow curve before losing its strength to climb any higher, settling instead into that soft, rounded shape and staying there ever since. There is something almost restful in a shape like that, something that tried, rose as far as it needed to, and then simply stopped, satisfied with being low and wide rather than tall. You do not have to reach the height of the tallest peak tonight. You are allowed, like these small domes, to rise only as far as feels easy and then let yourself settle, unfinished in the kindest sense, complete exactly where you stopped. Let that ease settle all the way through you now, the way warmth settles through a body finally allowed to stop holding itself upright. Somewhere below, the light on that plane has always been strange, not the light of a sun you could point to, not the light of a sky you could look up into and find open, but something lower and stranger, filtering down through all that sealed distance above. You will come to that light soon. The dim glow with no shadows in it. The sky that never once shows itself even as its ceiling presses close overhead. For now, though, let the volcanoes recede beneath you at their own unhurried pace. 1,600 quiet shapes, and more ancient and warm-hearted, and entirely unbothered by your leaving. As the strange orange hush of the surface begins, very faintly, to rise up around you. And in that smallness, that rest of being only one small shape among 1,000 greater ones, you start to notice the light around you. Because there is light here, even now, even under all that folded weight of sky. It does not fall the way light falls at home. There is no sun to point to, no bright disk riding above the shoulders of the volcanoes. No shadow stretching long and thin across the plain to tell you where morning ends and afternoon begins. The light simply is. It arrives from everywhere and nowhere, a low orange glow the color of embers banked for the night, seeping down through cloud upon cloud upon cloud until it reaches the basalt underfoot as something diffuse and even, shadowless, unhurried. You could stand here at what should be noon, and it would look almost the same as what should be dusk. The difference between day and night on this surface is not a difference of light at all. It is only a slow dimming toward a darker version of the same held orange, and then, eventually, its return. Nothing sharp, nothing sudden, just this one long breathing glow that never quite brightens and never quite goes out. Think of what it would mean to lose the sun from view entirely and still be warm, still be lit, to feel illuminated by a sky that has no visible source, the way a memory of daylight might feel from very far beneath water. That is close to what it would be, standing on this plain. Above you, 100 kilometers of acid cloud, layer stacked on layer, scatters and softens and redirects every particle of sunlight so many times before it reaches you that by the time it does, it no longer remembers where it came from. It is light with its origin erased. You look up, and there is no sun, no moon, no stars, no gap in the ceiling through which any of that might be glimpsed, only the glow itself, patient and diffuse, filling the whole dome of what would otherwise be sky. It is, in its way, one of the most complete forms of shelter a surface anywhere could offer. Nothing from outside ever quite arrives unaltered. Everything is filtered, held, translated into something the ground below can bear. And into that same held ceiling, somewhere far above where you could ever stand, something falls. Rain. Though it is nothing like rain as you have known it. High in those clouds, sulfuric acid condenses out of the thick air the way water condenses into a cloud on Earth, and it gathers, and it grows heavy enough to drop. It falls the way rain has always fallen, in long, faint threads reaching down toward the ground, and for a while, watching from below. You might almost mistake it for something familiar, dark streaks hanging beneath the cloud deck, trailing downward, patient, unmistakably rain in shape if nothing else. But it never lands. Long before those falling threads reach anywhere near the surface, the heat rising off the plain below meets them, and they simply cease to be liquid. They thin, they lift, they return to vapor in the air itself, dissolving back into the atmosphere they fell from, tens of kilometers above your head. The ground beneath never feels a single drop. It has been raining here in some sense for longer than any calendar could measure, and not once has that rain ever touched anything at all. There is a tenderness to that image, even though nothing about the mechanism is tender, a sky that reaches down again and again, forming its long, faint threads of falling water, straining toward the world beneath it, and each time dissolving before contact, called back upward by the very heat it helped create. A weeping that never becomes touch. An entire climate of longing without arrival. It is easy, from very far away, to imagine this as something mournful, but held at this safe hour, in this safe telling, it can also simply be what it is. Proof of how completely the warmth below has claimed everything above it, how thoroughly this world has turned inward on itself. Nothing given from outside is allowed to reach the ground unchanged, and nothing offered from below is allowed to leave. The rain falls and is taken back. The light arrives and is scattered until it forgets its source. Everything circles. Nothing crosses the threshold in either direction. Picture the shape of one of those falling threads, if you can, hanging beneath the cloud deck like the faintest brushstroke on a canvas of orange haze, visible for a stretch of sky, then simply absent, its lower half erased by heat before your eye can follow it all the way down. There may be thousands of them at once, scattered across the whole curved horizon, each one beginning its fall with the same patient intention, each one meeting the same unyielding wall of rising warmth, each one turning back to vapor at almost exactly the same height above the ground, as though some invisible line had been drawn in the air itself, a boundary the rain is simply not permitted to cross. Astronomers have a word for that vanishing act, borrowed from deserts on a much cooler world, where a similar thing sometimes happens on a far smaller scale. Streaks of rain reaching for dry ground and failing to arrive. But here, the failure is not occasional, not a dry season's exception. Here it is the whole and permanent condition of the sky. Every drop that has ever formed above this plane has ended this same way, lifted back into the air that made it, and every drop that ever will form will end the same way too, tracing the identical brief arc downward before dissolving, world without a single exception, for as long as this atmosphere holds its shape. This, more than anything you have passed through tonight, is the greenhouse finished and sealed. Not simply an atmosphere that traps heat, though it is that, but a whole enclosed weather of its own, complete and self-referring, folded so many times over that it no longer seems to know there is an outside at all. Recall, if you like, that first image from far off in the dark, before you ever drew close, a greenhouse sealed for 1,000,000 years, its warmth turned over and over on itself until it forgot the sky above it. You are standing, now, at the very center of that image made whole. The sky has not vanished, it is still there. That curtain of cloud 100 kilometers thick, still circling the planet in its 4 days of ceaseless motion, far overhead, but from where you stand it might as well not exist, because nothing about it reaches you as sky is meant to reach a surface. No blue. No stars wheeling slowly overhead through the dark hours. No rain that lands in pools and finds its way to a river. Only this low endless glow, and these long threads of rain that fall and unfall, and beneath your feet, a world so thoroughly wrapped in its own exhale that it has stopped noticing there was ever anything to breathe toward. The thread that has followed you all this way, enclosure, warmth folded inward, a house sealed against its own window, finds its quietest expression here, in a sky that weeps and never once touches the earth it weeps for. You could stay in that thought a long while. There is nothing urgent in it, nothing that asks you to flinch. Only a planet that turned its attention entirely inward, the way, some nights, a mind might do the same, circling its own warmth until the outside world grows distant and unnecessary for a little while. It is a place utterly without exchange, and there is an odd, drowsy peace in imagining a world that needs nothing from beyond itself, that has closed its circuit completely and simply persists, glowing low and orange, forever raining and never wet. And it is strange, isn't it, to think that a world so entirely sealed against being seen was eventually seen anyway, not by stepping through that curtain of cloud the way you have tonight, carried on nothing but imagination and a slow current of attention, but by people standing on a much cooler, much wetter world, looking up at a bright point of light and beginning, patiently, across centuries, to ask what it might be. No one on that other world could have known, at first, about the orange glow, or the rain that never lands, or the 92 atmospheres of held breath waiting beneath the cloud. All they had was the light itself, the same brightness that first drew you close at the very beginning of this telling, hanging low over a horizon, refusing to be ignored, long before anyone understood the acid in the clouds or the heat pressing down on that basalt plain. There were eyes lifted toward that same steady brightness in the evening and morning sky, watching it change, watching it move, beginning the long and unhurried work of learning what lay folded beneath the veil. And the rain keeps falling that never arrives, and the orange light keeps its shadowless hush over the plain, and now, without leaving Venus at all, you find yourself turning toward the people who first looked up and wondered what that steady point of light could be. Because before the clouds were named, before anyone knew of the greenhouse folded over itself for 1,000,000 years, Venus was only this, the brightest wanderer in the whole sky, rising ahead of the sun or trailing after it, and someone, long ago and unhurried, simply watched. Picture a night in the early 1600s. A man leans over a hand-built tube of glass and wood, the first spyglass ever turned toward the evening star, and what he sees does not sit easily inside the old maps of the heavens. Venus is not a fixed point of light, but a shape that changes, thin as a fingernail some nights, fuller other months, swelling and narrowing the way the moon does, moving through phases no one had ever confirmed with their own eye before. Galileo Galilei watches this unveiling for months, sketching the changing sliver in the margins of his notebooks, returning to the same patch of sky night after night, the way you might return, in a dream, to the same familiar room. There is no rush in it. There is only the discipline of looking again and again, and letting the shape teach him what it is. And he understands, with the particular thrill of someone handed proof, that a planet showing full phases like this can only be circling the sun rather than the Earth. He has not touched Venus. He has not felt its heat or its weight. He has only looked, patiently, night after night, and in the looking, something true about the whole solar system quietly reveals itself, the way a truth will surface on its own once enough attention has been given to it. More than a century passes, unhurried as everything in this story tends to be, before Venus offers a second kind of gift, the transit. On certain rare mornings, pairs of them 8 years apart, then a wait of over 100 years before the next pair comes around, Venus lines up precisely enough between the Earth and the Sun that it can be seen crossing the solar disk. A small dark circle easing across that bright field, like a bead drawn along a thread of light. Astronomers in the 1700s travel to the far edges of the known world to watch it, to Siberia, to the South Pacific, to frozen northern coastlines, carrying fragile instruments across oceans for the sake of a few hours of careful timing. They are not hunting for clouds or heat or crushing pressure. They are using the transit's timing, watched from many places on Earth at once, to work out the actual scale of the solar system, the true distance between our world and the sun. It is a strange kind of tenderness, if you think about it. Entire expeditions mounted, entire years of a life given, just to watch a small dark dot ease across the face of a star. Radio telescopes come later, in the middle of the last century, and with them a first real hint that something was different about Venus beneath its bright, unmoving veil. Astronomers point their great dishes toward that featureless glow, expecting, perhaps, a world not unlike our own beneath the clouds, mild, damp, and habitable, since it sat closer to the sun but wore such a pale, reflective coat. Instead, the radio waves coming back speak of heat, far more than sunlight alone could explain, a warmth that seems to be welling up from somewhere the eye cannot follow. No one yet understands the greenhouse, the carbon dioxide holding warmth against the ground the way a lid holds warmth inside a covered pot. There is only the puzzle, faint and insistent in the radio data, that Venus is hiding something enormous under that easy-looking shine. Then, in 1962, a small spacecraft called Mariner 2 does something no human-built machine had ever done before. It flies past another planet and lives to report what it found. It carries no cameras built to see through the clouds, no way to land, nothing but a handful of careful instruments reaching toward Venus as it passes. And what it sends back, in patient streams of data crossing the dark between the planets, confirms what the radio dishes had begun to suspect: a surface far hotter than anyone had dared to expect. No magnetic field wrapped around the planet the way Earth wears one. A world genuinely unlike the temperate twin some had hoped to find. It is the first time human effort reaches all the way to another planet and returns with an answer. The answer is heat, held close, held in. The Soviet Venera missions push further still, and this is where the story turns almost tender in its persistence. Across the 1960s and 70s and into the early 80s, one probe after another is built, launched, and sent down through that unbroken cloud deck toward a surface that no one had ever properly measured up close. Many of the earlier ones do not survive the descent at all. The pressure of that thick air, layered on and on as the probes fall, crushes some before they ever reach the ground. But a handful do make it down, settling onto the volcanic plain for the briefest of visits, sending back numbers and then, astonishingly, images, grainy, sepia-toned photographs of rock and horizon. The very first pictures ever taken from the surface of another planet. Look closely at those old frames. If you can picture them now, flat stones scattered like a courtyard underfoot. A horizon lost in that dim orange haze, the curved edge of a lander's own footpad resting in the foreground, as ordinary and as strange as any photograph taken from somewhere no one was ever meant to stand. The landers last only an hour or two at most, before the heat and the crushing air finally overwhelm their instruments, the transmissions thinning and then fading to nothing. And yet in that low hush after touchdown, before the fading comes, each one manages to look around and show us, briefly, what that ancient smooth plain actually looks like from where it lies. A handful of borrowed minutes, spent well. Decades later, in the last years of the 20th century, a spacecraft named Magellan takes on a more patient, more unhurried kind of seeing. Rather than land, rather than risk the crushing descent at all, it settles into orbit and simply circles, again and again, sending radar down through the clouds the way a hand might trace a shape through a heavy curtain without ever pulling it aside. Radar does not care about sulfuric acid or unbroken cloud. It passes through, bounces off the rock below, and returns with the shape of things. The raised highlands, the volcanic shields, the long-heeled plains you have already drifted across tonight. Over years of orbits, pass after unhurried pass, Magellan builds up, piece by piece, nearly the whole face of the planet, until for the first time the true geography of Venus exists in human hands, mapped entirely by listening rather than looking. What strings all of this together? The man with his hand-built spyglass, the travelers timing a small dark dot against the sun, the radio dishes catching a whisper of unexplained heat, the little craft that lived just long enough to answer one enormous question, the landers with their hour of borrowed time on the ground, the orbiter tracing the whole planet by radar over years, is nothing dramatic at all. It is only attention given again and again across centuries by people who could not go there themselves and so found patient ways to let the planet answer instead. No single instrument, no single mission, ever tore the veil away. It was lifted, if it can be called lifted at all, the way any deep understanding is lifted, in increments, across generations, by people willing to keep looking at the same unmoving point of light until it finally told them what it was hiding. And that, in the end, is its own kind of rest, knowing that something so vast and so sealed did not stay unknown forever, that patient looking is enough, eventually, to be let in. Every fact carried through this whole long night, the folded warmth, the crushing weight, the backward turning of the days, the temperate room hidden high in the clouds, the plain and its volcanoes, the light that never quite touches the ground, reached you only because someone, somewhere, was willing to keep looking a little longer than seemed reasonable. You do not have to hold any of it now. The instruments have already done their long work. The numbers are already gathered, the images already sent home, filed away in patient archives for anyone who ever wanted to look again. There is nothing left for you to do here, but let your own eyes loosen. Let your own attention ease the way a hand finally opens after holding on for a long while, and drift, unhurried, toward whatever comes after looking, toward rest itself, waiting the way it always has, patient and lingering for you to finally arrive. Tonight has been about the approach, the long fall through a veil of cloud that looked from far away like something to fear, and turned out, up close, to be only warm and endlessly folded, hiding nothing worse than itself. Tonight has been about the sealed greenhouse, that long unbroken held breath of a planet, warmth wrapped over warmth until it forgot the sky was ever there to let it out, and how that forgetting, so total, so complete, does not need to trouble you at all, because it happened to a world, not to you. And your own window is open, your own night is cool and moving, and entirely yours. Tonight has been about the surface beneath, the old stone floor, holding its heat in the dark the way a held hand keeps warmth long after the fire that made it has gone low, patient and unhurried, and asking nothing of anyone. And tonight has been about how we came to know her. The faint signals crossing all that distance, the landers that gave everything they had for a handful of minutes, just to send back one true picture, so that somewhere, long ago, someone curious could finally understand, and could pass that understanding tenderly down to you, here, now, already half asleep. None of this needs anything from you tonight. Not the cloud, not the heat, not the million patient years folded into that far-off greenhouse. None of it is waiting on you to do anything at all. You do not need to remember the regions, or hold the order of them, or carry a single fact past this sentence. It can all stay behind, like a coat left by the door while you go on without it, lighter than before. Another quiet exploration is already waiting on the screen, ready whenever you are, and you don't have to do a single thing. Just let it begin on its own. Let the next voice take over exactly where this one leaves off, while you stay right here, unmoving, already mostly gone. And if some small curious part of you is still awake, still turning things over the way a hand turns a warm stone without quite meaning to, you might wonder what it would feel like to stand, just once, on a floor that has held its warmth for 1,000,000 years without ever losing a single degree of it. Not to answer that, not tonight. Just to let the wondering itself go loose and unhurried, drifting off without you, the way a thought drifts off a person who is already asleep. Let your eyes rest fully closed now, if they are not already. Let your breath go long and low and easy, each one carrying you a little further from thought than the last. Let the bed take all of your weight, every part of you, so that nothing in you has to hold itself up anymore. There is nowhere to be tonight. There is nothing left to finish. There is only this dark, this quiet room, this one long, unhurried exhale after another, carrying you down and further down, past the veil, past the folded warmth, past the old stone floor of thought itself, into something even lower than sleep, and even safer. Sleep well.